This episode is supported by Battlefront.com.
It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com. Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game.
Hey everyone, it's the weekend. That means it's time for the Weekender, where we sit down and talk about all things tabletop gaming. And we have a massive show. A massive show. The guys from 4Ground's were in the studio and took over the place.
Yeah. I tried to rein them in, but we kind of went a little overboard on this one.
It's like they descend like locusts. Locust. And they just take over everything we've got going on and say, you want to cover this? You want to cover that? And you're like, whoa, slow down, guys. But we have an epic chat with them going over their new game, The Legends of Fabled Realms.
Yeah.
So much so that we're going to split it into two parts in this show. Okay. So we can actually get a word in around them. But it's awesome.
You see, I'm okay because I was in with them.
It's awesome to see them loving their game.
Yeah, honestly, it's a beautiful game, and I think people are really going to like it. This is basically the most comprehensive look you will get at a game that's coming out for a long while.
Is this going to be a Kickstarter?
It is coming to Kickstarter later in the year, but this is basically to start getting people excited and telling them, what's going on in the world, who the players are, and sort of some of the mechanics and stuff that we're going to be seeing in the game.
Okay, cool. Now, speaking of being excited, let's excite some winners out there. Let's announce some winners, people.
Okay. Can I do my one first?
Yeah.
So, last week we had the XL Hobby Box up for grabs. Our winner is Zoid Pinhead.
Woo, congratulations to you. And we also have a winner from the Battlefront live blog, I believe, as well, Ben.
Yep, the winner from that is Red Veers. So there you go. You won some goodies from that side of things.
Perfect. Right, we have a jam-packed show.
Yes.
And I want to get into it. But before we do that, I want to tell you that next week is AdeptiCon. Mm-hmm. So Dawn and Gianna will be off in the States. Well, they live in the States anyway, so they'll be in the States at the show, talking about all things Adepticon. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. Mm-hmm. And I can see Justin going, tell him about the prize, Lloyd. Tell him about the prize. And we also have an awesome prize this week. Yeah. You have the opportunity of winning yourself some of the heavy hitters. Isn't that right? So what is up for grabs, Justin?
All right, so basically we have, from GKR Heavy Hitters, we have a comic which is basically the beginning narrative to get you into the world, to give you the flavour of what's going on within this game. Yeah. We then also have up for grabs some of the sticker packs that come with the game. Now, I don't know if these come with the final Kickstarter. These might be exclusives or something. But you've got some nice stickers there so you can sort of show your allegiance. We then also have two prizes, okay? Ooh. So it's not just these, and it's not exactly these as well.
No, I'm just showing these off. So we have two unbuilt versions of these.
Yes,
one of this,
we have one of
away.
each. They're unbuilt, they're unpainted.
Yeah, so let's get a look at them.
And because we have one of each, it's going to be random as to which one you get, guys.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to win a little something for GKR to actually, wet the palate for it.
Okay.
It's one thing I like about the Kickstarter is that you do have the option of picking these up, paint it or unpaint it in the actual Kickstarter, which is really nice.
Do you have that option? Well, I've just literally lifted out all the unpainted bits. Actually, that's really hard to see. Yeah. Let me move that so everyone at home can see the bits. So this is the bits that make up
a heavy hitter. So that's the one from Thunder Happy.
Yeah.
So Thunder Happy Pharmaceuticals. We make people better.
So if you're interested in winning, we have two up for grabs. So we've got two sets of the comic books.
Yep. Two sets of stickers. And two heavy hitters.
And it's random which heavy hitter you get.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can request which one you want, but I will never guarantee that you're going to get it.
No, we're going to pick them at random.
All right.
We're going to pick them at random which ones you get. That way there's no confusions. You just get one at random.
Okay.
So that's awesome. So comment below for your chance to win that here on Beasts of War or on YouTube or on the Facebook post. Yeah. And we will pick them at random and tell you about it probably next week.
Yeah, now the reason I wanted to bring these in and put them out as a prize as well is very, very simply, the Giant Killer Robots Kickstarter has 6 days left. So we're into the final stretch to see what stretch goals and stuff can be got for this awesome game.
Well, I tell you what, before we end the show, we might take a quick look at it and see what they've been unlocking, because it is a cool Kickstarter. It's going well now. I'm interested to see some of the interesting stretch goals and things that have been unlocked.
I can't wait to get my pledge.
Right. Yeah, are you in on it?
Dude, I dropped in this day one.
Wow. You're a king. Right, let's move on. Let's get stuck into some new news that's just come out, which is really interesting about the Cool Mini or Not guys in the States.
Yeah.
This is really good for everyone. They've now got a distribution deal with Diacache to be able to bring the likes of
Dark Age and Wrath of Kings that are now going to be really easily available within the UK. So this is one of the things about these games. They were very much US based to begin with. And it's something I'm really happy about because it's two games that I really, really enjoy. I mean, I have forces for both.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really nice to see the UK audience and the European audience being able to lay their hands on it and actually start playing games at their clubs.
Ben, is this exciting news, this news?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. People are really getting into it when they come to events here in the UK. I know the UK Games Expo last year had a lot of people sort of milling around the Dark Age and Wrath of Kings stuff, trying to get into the game and stuff. So it'll be really fun to see people actually being able to pick up the miniatures, play the game, get involved in the massive organised play tournaments and things they have set up as well. So yeah,
that's awesome because you see comments and stuff going, "I'm in the UK. How do I get these games?"
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be it. The end of those comments. And do you know what's even more exciting? Do you know what's even more exciting? Is if they I don't know if this is the case or not, but if there's a deal in place to distribute those games, when this new game for what's it called, A Song of Fire and Ice?
Yeah, it's
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Ice and Fire, I always do it wrong.
No, you're doing it right because that's what it is in the books. They switched it around for the board game.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, which confuses me.
That's weird. Well, when that game, because we're going to talk about that on the backstage show, because that's exciting. When that game hits the market, hopefully that means that we wouldn't.
You already have that open channel.
Yeah, we won't have any problems getting that over this side of the pond.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I'm excited. Right. Will we move into our first news item?
Yeah, sure thing. What we got, Ben?
There's been a lot of news coming out of GMA or GAMA in the States, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, so this was the big event that was happening over in Ohio. This is GAMA, which is the Game Manufacturers Association. And they were talking about a whole bunch of different things, but one of the big, huge focuses towards the sort of middle of this week was some news out of Games Workshop. Now, one of the massive things they were actually getting stuck into was some new stuff for Warhammer 40,000. And they announced a new game and a new boxed sort of product and a new line as well, effectively, called Shadow War Armageddon. Now, this is sort of, setting people on fire a little bit because it's effectively Necromunda.
Yeah.
Taking all the rules from sort of around 2nd edition of Necromunda and bringing it back up into the new age. They're getting rid of a lot of the stuff like the gangers and stuff that you might have seen before, like Cawdor and the Ash Wastes and stuff. And instead, they're focusing in on the actual main factions from the world of Warhammer 40,000. So in the box set itself, you get Space Marines versus Orcs. You've got some Scouts versus some Orc boys in there. But they're also going to be tying in things like the Dark Eldar, the Necrons, and all the other factions that you know and love. So this is going to be a lot more focused on their actual main properties that they've been doing, but giving you that little sort of different way to play the game and a bit more of a campaign and a narrative setting.
What has the reception been like for this? I know you've had more chance to look at the comments and stuff because we've been shooting all week, and then this landed. My immediate reaction was I'm looking at going, ooh, Necromunda, but with miniatures that are in the current range.
Yeah.
Is this exciting to me? Or does this feel weird playing Necromunda type rules with the current range? What's the reception been like for it?
The reception's been pretty good because it's a lot of people focusing in on things and thinking, well, I really, really liked that Necromunda rule set, and a lot of people really, really like the new way the factions are going. So this sort of ties the two together.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of people who are saying that it would be nice to have a lot more of those characterful, individual-looking models from the likes of the gangs that we used to see back in the day. But I generally think this could be a fascinating way for them to take things, and it allows them to use a really, really old rule set that everybody really likes and got that nostalgia factor, but then tying in all the new stuff so they don't have to worry about, a new range of models, etc., and things like that down the road. What they do in terms of maybe updating a few things here and there, we don't quite know. A lot of people have said that the reps there at GAMA were saying that it's pretty much a direct port. So if you liked Necromunda back in that sort of 2nd edition, you're pretty much going to like this, basically. So it kind of caters to a lot of different people out there. The people that really liked all those old games, people that like playing 40k now, but want to do it in a pretty different way. And hopefully with this sort of low model count as well, it'll mean that people could get into this game at that sort of skirmish level and start playing 40k and enjoying it and then building up into something better in the future. So,
well, I'm eager to give it a shot because I seen a picture of some Tau set up. I don't know where I seen this picture, but they were set up to play the game, and I immediately thought, oh, I have Tau. I have access to some miniatures that can go into this.
Exactly,
I suppose that's the upside, isn't it? There's lots of people out there have miniatures already sitting painted and going, hold on,
I can
I can play this.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than worrying about painting new stuff. Justin, did you ever get a chance to play Necromunda?
No. All right, now this is one thing that keeps happening with me. You have those older games that I never got a chance to jump in on, so actually having something like this turn up leaves me going, well, this is one that all of my older hobby friends talk about, that actually talk about the good old glory days of playing Necromunda. So having a chance to actually get back in and get a look at the world that they've always talked about is really interesting to me.
Yeah, when we were kids, we had Necromunda, but I'm not really convinced I ever played it quite correctly. Because it was at that age, you know, when you're at that age and you read the rules and you're like, I got the general gist of this, I'll make the rest of it up as I go.
Yeah.
I kind of played it a bit like that, really. It'll be interesting to revisit it and actually play the rules, well, the new updated rules properly, and get that nostalgia hit of going, this plays completely different, and then someone will go, yeah, because you made all that crap up, Lloyd.
Yeah. But hang on, that's what you do when you're a kid. That's what you do. Because, I mean, like, whenever you're a kid, you don't know that, you know, if I have to roll a 5, a 4, a 3, whatever, you know, to make this guy run or shoot, you just turn to Warren and go, no, I shot you first. He's dead. He's dead. I shot you first.
Dead! Dead!
Yeah.
No, he's not.
I say he is.
Definitely has to
Lloyd,
be.
have you ever played the game I Win?
No.
You know how to play?
Oh, this is going to be some stupid thing, isn't it, where I just say I win?
Yeah, although you win because you said it first.
Yeah, I win! Ben, did you play Necromunda much?
I did actually, yeah. We didn't play the first edition, but we played the second edition. It was a lot of good fun. It was one of those things where actually I really much preferred the Warhammer Fantasy side of things, so I played more time than I did Necromunda, but the time I did spend with Necromunda was pretty awesome. We then sort of moved that and adapted things to play the sort of scaled down version of Inquisitor, so we played Inquisitor 28mm, using a lot of the Necromunda stuff and then a bit of the Inquisitor rules thrown in. One of the big things actually that's come out of this this new box set that sort of got people excited as well is the way they're going to be approaching some terrain actually as well. You can see a little bit of it in a bit of a video teaser, but the main image that they've been showing off is that one there you got to see in the post. It effectively shows off some nice walkways, some engines and industrial smokestacks and stuff like that. So it's really sort of focusing in on there being this huge amount of terrain on the tabletop. Now this also brings a lot of people around to thinking about a little bit how 40k is going to go in the future as well, because towards the end of last year we were seeing them bring out a lot of game mats that were 4x4.
Yes, now that intrigued me at the time, and I was like, it's a 6x4 game. What's with the 4x4s? But
getting ahead of the product.
Exactly.
I guess this kind of ties it together.
Yeah, so this is them sort of focusing things down towards this sort of skirmish level, and maybe if this is the way they're taking things and this sort of scale of game, that's the way we could view the game looking in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 as well. So, you know, it's a little bit of a speculation here, but maybe things are going to be scaled down to that sort of more squad-based, heavy terrain level of things in the future.
Which could be cool, because then you can start picking up more factions in 40k rather than just constantly expanding your one faction over and over again. And
pretty much,
and maybe getting a little bit tired of your faction going,
I've painted maybe 200 Space Marines.
I'm a little tired of this now, but I'm not going to switch faction because I've invested so much time into this faction, and I need a big faction to play the game. With the more skirmish-based games, it'll be cool to be able to go, well, I'll just pick up another faction. Kind of like Age of Sigmar, you don't need to paint an awful lot of miniatures.
Although one thing for this that I'm noticing is, and one thing I'm looking at is, I'm wondering how this new terrain set is actually going to merge in with the Cities of Death range, because we already have a really nice modular city set. And now that we're seeing nice walkways and stuff being brought into it, if you bring it up there for me, Lloyd, you can actually see, you know, how will this actually affect how you're building your Cities of Death stuff? Because I think this should all fit together with it pretty nicely. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think that's really pretty much what they're aiming for, because they've already been doing, as you say, a lot of really good plastic terrain kits out there. And again, towards the end of last year, they brought out a lot of stuff like crates and all these kind of things. So maybe as we're looking forward, we're going to see very, very big, huge cluttered boards that have lots of different pieces, you know, tied together. They've effectively created everything you need to make an Imperial city. So yeah, it should be quite interesting.
Actually, silly me, speaking of Cities of Death, just look at the background. There it is.
You can see it, some Gothic ruins,
Yeah. All right, cool. Very cool.
It is going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I'm looking forward to giving it a go, because it brings it into that realm, like I said, with the squads and stuff, and like Ben's been discussing, which is one of the things I liked about Dead Zone. Was you didn't need a lot of miniatures to get up and playing.
You're down at that man-to-man level. You know, where it's each guy can make a difference instead of being this unit of 10 needs to beat this unit of 20.
Yeah, they've been testing the waters pretty much, throughout the last year with the whole kill team thing that we've talked about on past weekenders. So this is just a natural evolution of that, to add a little bit more rules in there, get some sort of campaign stuff and narrative, mixed into the pot as well. So yeah.
Cool. Right, we have some more Games Workshop stuff coming up, because there was quite a lot of news that was coming out of GAMA during the week. But before we get stuck into that, let's move into our first part of our epic chat with the guys from 4Ground's. Justin, you had an amazing chat with them.
Yep.
And yeah, let's see what they had to say.
It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsun Hub on beastsofwar.com.
So, hi everybody, I've been joined in the studio by the guys from 4Ground. This is Adam and Cad, and today we are having a chat about something very, very exciting. Now, the guys at 4Ground are incredibly well known within the industry for making beautiful terrain.
Thank you.
Cheers.
But you have something else to talk about today.
Yeah.
Something incredibly important, something wonderful, something magical. It's the Legends of Fabled Realms. So you guys are actually coming out with your own game now. So guys, first question has to be, can you give us a little intro to the world and a little idea of where it is spawned and where it came from?
Yeah, so the world originally started years and years ago, sort of 2003. We started playing D&D, and then we went, well, we want to do battles in this world. So we started playing War Master, Warhammer, and then eventually we started creating more about the background. And then in 2014, 4Grounds started. So 4Grounds started in 2014.
Yeah.
And then 2016, I think it was, Fabled Realms Buildings first came out. And then after that, we went, well, do you know what? We want to do our own game. We want to share the world that we've created with other people.
I think that's quite a nice aspect of it, is the fact that we've gone, and the world that we've created in our buildings and the world we've got there, is that we're now making a game to fit that world. So it's quite a nice approach to it, instead of sometimes where you've got a world to fit a game. This game's to fit the world that we've created. So you'll see like Mordenberg, you'll be able to start seeing like, oh, that's where Daldor is in the Fabled Realms world, and that's where Mordenberg is. And then these new places that we'll start seeing develop as well, that we've known for a long time in our own little group.
Yeah.
So yeah, it starts bring it together.
So basically, what I always say is games are windows into worlds, and what you guys have done with your terrain is built beautiful ways to lay out tables to see a world. So now you're actually wanting to start playing your stories within the world, yeah?
And having other people play their stories within our world, and then see how their stories change the world.
All right, well, first things first, I want to have a look at some of the art, because you've given me a ton of stuff to go through here. And the first thing, you've probably seen it behind me, guys, but let's get you guys a nice close look at it. So this is going to be the front cover for the Legends of Fabled Realms, yeah?
Yes.
And what exactly are we seeing in this scene here?
So you've got two main things going on. You've got one of the White Cloaks of the Eightfold Path. Now, he's the hero at the front, and these guys, they're immune to the curse that causes the Dragul virus.
So I'm guessing the Dragul virus is this other guy?
Yeah,
yes.
So he is actually a terror. And the terrors are things that have caught the virus, that they're much, much bigger. So, for instance, he is something called a Trogkin, which is kind of, they're a bit like trolls. And there's even in the background a case of a dragon catching the virus.
All right, so we say virus, but I'll assume it's still open to debate as to what you're finally going to call it, whether it be curse, affliction, virus, whatever.
Yeah. It's more the people in the world, they don't know what causes it.
Yeah. So there's this mysterious force that can affect any race, any creature.
Yeah.
So I'll assume if we see humans, they're going to be twisted and misshapen.
Yeah, you'll see that. They'll start
so
deforming. You'll see like longer limbs. You see the fangs. You see the nose starts to disappear. They get a lot more.
Oh, go on ahead.
Yeah,
go on ahead, I think I find what you're talking about here in the images.
Yeah, they start becoming a lot more
bestial,
and hideous. And then what also happens when you contract the curse, you start losing your like inhibitions. You become a lot more basic instinct. So all you care about is consuming flesh and food. That's your only care.
Just to be clear, this is not vampiric.
Not at all. They are driven by almost a drug addiction style need to consume flesh.
And then
this
and then
is
not
to drive the changes in their body, then maybe.
Yeah, and well, one of the things that happens is their arms start extending. Their face starts changing. So if you look, his teeth have actually carried on growing, and it peels back parts of their skin, so the jaw is kind of recessing a bit. Which is why this poor unfortunate person that's only just got their hand left. He's still chumming down on that.
All right, now this is a very interesting take on sort of a horror faction.
Yes.
To actually have it just as a hunger, but not a mindless hunger like zombies. Because I've talked before a few times about how the zombie plague is not exactly the most scary horror thing, because it's that faceless mass with a very simplistic style to it. I'm guessing there's more of a brain behind these boys.
Yes. So at the very base level is that they only like as much as a wild beast, but then you'll start getting stuff that starts keeping its faculties. So you later you'll see things that are known as gluttons, and now they've kept some of the faculties, but they're maybe as intelligent as an ape, so they know what tools they know how to use tools in their basic crude. But then the main driving force of the Dragoi warband are the Dragoi, which is, imagine if I've kept all my faculties, I've got my intelligence, so I know that armor's good, I know that weapons are good, but at the end of the day, I've got this underlying need to feed, and so money is no more of an object for me. Housing is no more an object for me. All I care about is
everything
consuming.
I have to do to get that food.
And because of the intelligence of those beings now, you'll start getting hordes of the Dragul follow them, because wherever they go, there's food to follow.
Yes.
So that's why you start getting these packs or covens of...
Yeah, and there's still that sort of base intelligence.
Yeah.
I like this image here, because this is actually showing that, unfortunately, some poor human has just caught it in the head.
Yeah.
Now, this is a very different style of artwork than anything I've ever seen for a game before, to actually catch just that snapshot moment. Is there a reason for that?
When we were talking to Jared, the guy that we got doing all the artwork for us, we very much wanted it to be a very emotional piece of artwork. So it's
not clinical.
Yeah, it's not clinical artwork. Well, we really like it at 4Ground. We've seen that a lot of people are taken well to it. To me, it imbues a lot of passion into the thing, like all the deep colours and rich colours that you're getting through from there.
Yeah. But it's sort of that battle shock piece of artwork. That snapshot of a moment.
Yeah.
So the idea, and when we talked to Jared about it, what we wanted is it almost as if somebody saw this on the battlefield, they then went home, and to cover their post-traumatic stress, what they did is they started drawing it. They were an artist, they can draw a nice piece of art, but all they remember from that instant is the colours and the emotions. So the blood made them feel that everything was red, apart from the key things.
But I mean, like, it's really cool. I love this idea that it is a snapshot. So that's what I'm trying to go for here. Moving along to another one. What are we seeing here?
So this is a Dragoi, and he's got some friends behind him. And this is most of the art we're showing is card art, so it's going to be on the ability cards.
Oh, nice.
We'll talk about them in a bit, but this is one called Ferocity. So this guy is actually breaking through the enemy lines. He's let go of everything. So even though he is intelligent, he's just letting rip.
Yeah. It actually really captures that moment of, I am starving, I am hungry, I am going to break through your shield wall to get to the yummy bits. Next up, we have a nice little bit of magic.
Yeah, so everybody in the Fabled realms is able to cast magic. So if it was you or I, we might be able to make a little spark or like just know something feels wrong around us. So
I would go wah, 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 and poof.
Okay. Whereas people can obviously get trained in it. Like in Mordenberg, we've mentioned before in the past that you've got a university for it's got libraries, magics, which is called the Nunsuch University, and there whilst you're being taught your magic, you have to spend 1 year in the Mordenberg State Guard as a secondment. So you'll start seeing like more magic users and stuff like that being in the factions like that. So because everyone can use magic, so even in the game, your orcs can use magic, but they're not going to be as good as a gnome using magic.
Right.
So, and that's why in this piece of artwork you can see he's actually wearing armor. Armor doesn't interrupt magic casting in the Fabled realms. And this guy is using a very basic spell. This is Magic Missile. So you can see the tendrils he's projecting into his opponents.
Yeah, so this is him just casting raw magic at somebody just to hit them in panic, because there is fear in that face.
Yeah.
I will say you have captured a great fear in that face. Next piece of art, we have, what is this? Oh, wow.
Yes. So this one is for a card called Unnatural Vigor. And what it allows you to do in the game is that cinematic moment where the Dragoi, he's been stabbed, but he's not going down. His hunger has driven him.
Him so much that he's going for you. No matter what you do to him, no matter what you throw at him, he's coming for you, which really gives the feeling in the game that faction is like a horrifying faction. That, like you said, it's coming to consume you.
Yeah, but there's an insanity in that face. That there's a raw emotion there that it's just like, I must feed, I must get to these people. I don't care that I've been stabbed 7 times through the chest. Yeah. Okay, moving along. We have to have some hero moments, and this looks like a really great one where we have a knight finally cleaving the head off one of the big terrors.
Yeah. So this one is for a card called Smite the Unclean, and what it does is it allows you to use your enemy's toughness against them. So for this one, you get a bonus based on the number of hit points that model has. So he has come across something massive. He's part of the Eightfold Path, so he's there to smite the unclean.
Of course.
He will destroy them,
of course.
And he quite clearly has.
And I mean, like, the details, you're getting that very much, we are the White Cloaks, we are the good people of this world. Is that the case?
Not necessarily. What we've got with the White Cloak faction is a militant order, and then how it's based upon is that some people in this world are lucky enough to be immune to the curse or the virus. But how this happens is that you'll have people voluntarily sign up to be part of the Eightfold Path, and then they're known as Grey Cloaks. Or if you're running from the law, you can end up joining the Eightfold Path to become a Grey Cloak. It doesn't absolve you of your sins or anything like that whilst you're in it. You can still get done, but then you could get the commandery saying, no, we need this person. But what happens then is they get initiated, and how you got initiated is you have to drink a vial of the Dragul blood. And then whilst you're drinking this blood, if you start to show signs of the change, you get killed.
Okay, as you would.
Yeah, and when you change, you become an ascended. And then they've got a layman's term as White Cloaks, because when you've ascended, you get given a white cloak, which shows that you've been purified.
Okay, so let me get this straight, okay? So let's say I've joined the White Cloaks, or the Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
I drink the vial of blood.
Yeah.
I start to turn into that. I die.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't turn into that. I ascend?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you were a right jerk,
you
haven't changed.
You managed to get away from the law.
So if I'm, say, like a pirate or a smuggler or something, I joined them, and I've suddenly become ascended, does that mean that I'm now in the higher ranks of the organization?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're now, because of the laws of the Tudor League, you are now exempt from any mortal law.
Oh.
So yeah. So in the case of this particular nasty individual, you could come across a village. You could be like, I really like the look of some of the stuff you have.
Yeah.
And then if they say no, you go, well, I think somebody's turning right now. This village is ended.
So you could be, yeah, I like this idea. Okay, now, seeing as we're talking about the Eightfold Path and a bit of the background, I would like to actually show off some of the 3D renders you guys have given me as well. So, first thing we have here is what you've dubbed the family shot. This is everybody from the faction at the moment,
So this will be a starter set's worth of miniatures. So each starter set that we're looking at the moment is going to come for around about 8 miniatures. And they've got 3 character models and 5 henchman models.
Cool. All right, well, let's get a close-up of some of these guys. So who do we have first?
So this is one of the first henchman models. This guy, anybody can join the Eightfold Path. And as such, when we were talking to the sculptors, we were like, we really wanted to show all walks of life.
Yeah.
So this guy, he's got a physique a bit more like mine. He's a bit chunky. But that means that he's there and he's trying to help. This one, all of our henchmen have little backstories. So this one joined because his father was not pleased with him. His father was a powerful criminal, so he fled from his father and then joined the Eightfold Path. And the idea with that is when we were talking to the sculptors, we like it because we love putting backstories in everything.
Yeah. Well, that's
for the
something as well that
sculptors-
we were going to want to do, is that when the kits are released and the volumes are released later, is that something that we like to do with our houses is that each henchman is still going to have their own little miniature backstory. So you get that feeling that it's like that connection with the characters, even if they're a low little henchman.
Yeah, you still want to know this. This is Bob.
Yeah.
His dad was a crime lord, and Bob displeased his dad. And because his dad wanted to cut his thumbs off, Bob joined the Eightfold Path.
Which seems like a good a reason as any.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the design is really nice. I am noticing some of the rivets and stuff here are quite large. Is this a specific design thing you're doing?
That's because where everything's going to be done, everything we're going to do is going to be made in plastic. They're going to be one-piece minis, and so that is to allow for the shrinkage of
I get you.
when it's going through the tooling process and through the manufacturing process. You have that shrinkage. So that's why the rivets.
You'll
are there
notice
like
some
that.
rivets that are a bit large.
But one thing as well is because where the bring it back for that miniature there is that most of the henchmen as well, because they haven't ascended yet, they'll have small things that are there because they don't want to get any of the blood into their system. So that bit of cloth on his helmet, he'll be able to pin in front of his face during combat, so he stops getting blood through the
doesn't
system.
really get infected.
Yeah, so a lot of the Eightfold Path henchmen will have some form of facial protection.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next henchman, because let's see if yes, I see this theme continuing, because this guy is like a big metal plate that's just hanging up over the mouth to defend him a little bit.
So what he's done is that is a piece of equipment that's normally found on knights.
Yeah.
So on the battlefield, he's obviously found one.
Yeah.
And he's thought, do you know what? That not only stops the blood from getting in my mouth, but it will also protect my neck.
Yes, if someone's swinging an axe at my face, I'm a little bit better off.
Yeah.
And he looks really nice. What's the backstory of this guy?
So this guy was originally a scribe. He then went on to become a lumberjack.
Okay.
So after being a lumberjack, that's why he's got like his woodsman's axe. He decided to follow his faith and join the Eightfold Path.
Yep.
That's why he's made his own shield. So if you look, it's wooden boards that have just been strapped together with 2 bits of metal, and that's because the Eightfold Path, they don't have very much equipment.
Right.
So a lot of the henchmen for them, they're in basic.
They're coming with their own gear.
Yeah, or whatever they can scrounge.
Well, speaking of scrounging, this guy looks like he's done a bit of it. Who's this?
So this guy is a 15-year-old lad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can join it at kind of any age, really. It's just whether you'll be useful on the battlefield is more of an issue for them.
You can see that he's got an old dented helmet that's too large for his head.
Yeah.
His clothes are a bit too big for him. But he's there to fight for the good.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that he has strapped as many belts across the middle as he can just to try keep it
all together.
Yeah.
But as well, one thing we want to do as a miniature as well is they've got no real in-game effect, but they've got all these little small secondary weapons and stuff like that, just because it makes them a little bit more characterful. It just brings them to that much little bit.
Although in his case, his dagger's getting on to being a small short sword for him.
Yeah. Well, 15-year-old lad, game for having a go. Next up, who do we have here?
So this is their Sergeant at Arms. Now, he's not actually a character as in game terms. He's still a henchman, but because we wanted everybody to have a backstory, he's a professional soldier.
Yeah.
So therefore, his kit's in good condition. He keeps it well maintained.
Yeah, and it feels cohesive.
Yeah.
You know, as if he just bought it as a set and brought it with him.
And it also, one of the things we want to have is, although it's a fantasy game, an element of realism. So he's got 2 levels of armor on him. You can see like a quilted jacket and then some mail. Yeah. And then talking of the mail, this brings us on to, you're saying about the rivets.
Yes.
Now the mail, those rings, the shape they are because of, once again, the shrinkage. So the reason they haven't made them rounded edges is because if they were rounded edges, by the time it shrunk, they end up looking like pimples. So these ones are more like washers because when they shrink, they'll look rounded.
Yeah, no, I like the design. It looks really cool. I also like the weapon this guy's running around with. What is that?
Well, that is that is a boar spear, and the idea of that is that if these guys are fighting big creatures, like you saw the Dragoi, And if that something is running down the shaft of your spear, the last thing you want to do is for it to run down the shaft of your spear. So it's got the crossheads that you have on a boar spear to stop them. It stops them from being able to move.
I see.
And as well, we've got him in, like, we feel quite a cool pose with the spear, because the fact that where he's got it on the butt, you can slide it through his hand, and then you can get good thrusting power with it and stuff like that. Or a good stopping of it. If something was about to charge at you, you're going to be able to stop it.
That power actually to get his weight in behind it.
And as well, the way that the sculptors got the atmosphere in their face as well, like the sculptors we've got in it at the moment are amazing sculptors. They've done work for like Mythos, Cool Me. They've done stuff for X Games Workshop stuff. The one that's done the Eightfold Path is called Edgar. You have to forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. Skoromsky.
Edgar, if you're watching, sorry.
I have 2 Edgars on my list.
Yes, Edgar Ramos's worked on the Dragoi, which we'll see in a minute.
Okay.
They're about 75% completed as filming.
Okay. Whereas these are 100%. These are finished. And the 3D prints being done. They're being worked up for the resins, which we'll see at Salute.
Nice.
That will be as samples, so they.
And in the participation games, so we're going to be running 3 participation games at Salute, so you can come and have a go at it.
Yeah. Well, guys, we should hopefully make it to Salute this year. I make no promises, but if we do, we will stop off with 4Ground guys to let you see how the game is being received by the fans at Salute. Next character, because this guy I like. This guy I like because he's quite familiar to me.
So this guy is a gnome wizard. Like we said, magic in the world. Magic is the trained form of magicka, which is more of a backstory thing. It doesn't affect the game. It's not affected by your armor. So he's fighting people. He's going, I'm going to be wearing chainmail then.
Yeah.
On his back, he's also got a nice pick hammer. This is so he can beat people to death if they come too close.
If necessary, take them out at the knees.
Yeah. And he's also got his charms on his arm. As you can see, he's looking a bit miserable.
Yeah. Doesn't want to be here. It's a bad day.
So, he's one of our favourites, actually, because what we wanted is in the Fabled realms, there's less racism. So, the Eightfold Path is a bit different because it's a religion for gnomes and humans predominantly.
Yes.
That doesn't mean dwarves don't join, but it's the same as...
It's a rare thing.
Yeah, it's a rare thing.
And so it becomes more of cultural battles rather than racial battles between the fantasy races.
There are some nations that are particularly racist. There's one that is an elven nation, but there are other elven nations that aren't elven nations really. They're a mix. And the prime example for this is the Mordenberg State Guard.
Right.
Which we can talk about later, but they have access to almost every race.
I see. Okay, next character. Who is this? If this wakes up. There we go.
So that guy is a character of the Eightfold Path. And I've forgotten the name of what his job role is. So
he's a Path Guardian. So what he does is he is their spiritual guide.
Okay.
He's also the person that collects the blood. So that's why he's got as many vials as he has.
So so he'd have to go around collecting because they only when they try and initiate you, they initiate you with the blood of the Dragoi, which were the ones that kept all their faculties, not a Dragul, because they see it that if this person is as powerful he is, that must be the most tainted blood. So to test with the most tainted blood. So that's what those vials are. So you have to collect them. But as well, he's also the one that if you take in blood during the battle, he's the one that can say that he can rectify that you did go through the
battlefield ascension.
You did have a battle. So he's the one that say yes, you did a battlefield ascension.
And the background for him is he was a character that was ascended on the battlefield, but his wasn't witnessed. So he had to go back to the commandery and take the tests again because nobody was there to watch him. And now he joined that part of the order, so he could help his comrades never go through the same experience again.
I see. So he's there sort of as a standing witness.
And
of course that is quite horrifying. If you're in the middle of a battle and the Dragoi blood gets in your mouth and it's just like, oh crap, am I going to turn? Am I going to turn? Am I going to turn? Nope, I'm okay. You saw that? Yeah, I'm okay.
Well, it only matters if he sees it. If another grey cloak does, they're like, well, that doesn't count.
But and then the weapons he's got is called Ascent.
Sorry, I jumped
ahead. The weapon that he's got is
a cleanser.
Is a cleanser, sorry. And that again is a mark of his position, and it's got billowing out of it blue sage, because they believe that blue sage is a way of cleansing
the curse.
So it's a little protection.
So it's a spiritual thing for him. So in the game, it acts like just a great hammer, but it gives the unit that he's in a morale boost.
So essentially, this is a Morning Star sensor.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think it's going to be like a cool thing to paint as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do with that.
Yeah.
Okay, next character. Who is this?
This is their Knight Commander. He is the second son of a noble. So what he said to his father is, I want to join the Eightfold Path. He's a volunteer.
Yeah.
His
grandfather before him was part of the Eightfold Path as well, so that's why he thinks, I'll be all right, I'll ascend. My grandfather did.
Yeah. Taking chances there, son.
Yeah. So what he's got on him is he's got a great sword. He's in something called the Plough Guard. We have some friends that like sword practice.
Comes in handy.
It does.
Very handy.
And he's got on him, he's also got a purifier. This is like the sensor thing he has on his waist. And this is a mark of his rank. He's a Knight Commander.
Yeah.
And you can see he's also got a couple of secondary weapons, daggers round behind his cloak.
Yeah.
Potions.
He's got potions on him, because in the game you can take health potions.
Yeah. Now, silly question. Is it just me or is he left-handed?
He is left-handed. So we
Not
wanted a
going to
mix.
ask how I noticed that.
Well, it's if you're interested, you can tell by where the hands are on the guard. So if your most powerful hand will be at the bottom.
Oh, then that's right-handed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was wrong. No, but if I don't know, because I've held long swords before. I always grip the top with the left, the right with the bottom. So I don't know.
No, your bottom hand is the most powerful hand. He's got the.
Yeah, but I'm left-handed.
Ah, well, there you go.
So, history buffs, medieval history buffs. I need your help. Which way round do you hold a great sword if you're left or right-handed?
For God's sake! Right, it's my power grip. This is my directional grip. This is the tiller. Okay, so I come and I slash you. I pick my sword up and I now with my tiller direct the cut. So it should be going like that, but it's going like that. It's brilliant.
Thanks for the tips on handling your equipment, Ben. Classic stuff. The artwork and stuff's looking cool.
It's really nice because it's got that snapshot look to it, you know, just that flash moment of the artist actually seeing something in a battle, coming home, and it's stuck with him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that moment, I need to get this down on paper to get it out of my head and get it away.
Well, we will be going back to the guys later to talk about dice and cards and what else? Dice, cards, and the...
We have to meet the factions.
And the factions.
Yeah, yes.
I haven't even got into that yet.
No.
Awesome.
No.
Right, anyway, before we get sidetracked into talking about 4Ground and Legends of the Fabled Realms, we have some more Games Workshop news came out of GAMA. Ben, what are we going to talk about now?
Yeah, so this was focused around the sort of Age of Sigmar side of things, and the big, huge news that came out of them sort of on Thursday, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, was the fact that the Kharadron Overlords are coming to the worlds of the Mortal Realms.
Ooh, a whole new faction.
Yeah, so these are effectively a faction of Duardin, which are their dwarves in the world of Age of Sigmar, but they're very, very separate from the likes of the Dispossessed and the Fire Slayers. Now, the Dispossessed are very much the sort of traditional dwarves, and then the Fire Slayers are the one we've seen before, who worship Grimnir and the Fractured God, effectively. And these guys with the tattoos and the flames and everything, the Slayers of Age of Sigmar, basically. These guys, however, decided that they weren't going to hide and they weren't going to keep battling. They're going to go and they're going to start building things. And these are effectively a collection of magic-obsessed and steampunk-obsessed dwarves that have been flying around in the skies above the Mortal Realms now in these massive airships that they've been working on, which are actually pretty awesome. One of the things that a lot of people have been saying in the comments is that they're not going to pick up anything else from this range. They're going to pick up the airships just to try and make something cool out of them. But yeah, they look absolutely amazing. And there was a little bit of a kickback to begin with against these guys, and from me as well, where I was thinking maybe they're a little bit too steampunky for my liking in the world of sort of Age of Sigmar, which is, you know, traditionally quite a fantasy setting, you know, like high fantasy setting. But people have been saying that...
Yeah, because I was looking at the pictures and stuff, and I was thinking, you know, this takes Age of Sigmar into the realms of where War Machine kind of is in some ways, and Hordes, that sort of
a little flavour of that
aesthetic going on. And I was looking at it a bit longer and going, well, actually, you know, it's not like it hasn't been going there, because we talked about the the other factions and their crossbows and things like this.
Yeah,
So
the sort of gun-like crossbows.
yeah, so they've been going down that sort of route for a while, and this is like this is really interesting actually, because when you look at the pictures and stuff, it's a completely different sort of look to dwarves. There's nothing like this in Age of Sigmar before.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Dwarves have always been a technologically advanced race. You expect them to have steam tanks. You expect them to have gyrocopters. Why wouldn't they create, flying blimps with, multi-type bombs on the side? If you look at this, I mean, look at the bomb rack there. You've got fragmentation, armor piercing, and some kind of earthquake bombs in there, which I think is really cool.
It's one of the things a lot of people pointed out to me, and it sort of tied me back into why I was kind of, probably look at this race in a little bit more detail, was that they've always had this kind of thing, as you say, Justin, and they've had cannons and guns and all sorts in the past in Warhammer Fantasy, so why shouldn't they have an element of that in Age of Sigmar, basically? It seems pretty awesome. There's not been a lot of...
Yeah, but they're really technologically looking, because they're basically clad from head to toe.
Oh yeah, basically, yeah. Like, I mean, they've actually gone into detail about why they are clad completely, and that's because the skies above the mortal realms are always seething with magics and terrible energies and stuff, and so they have to completely wear armor and big, huge boiler suits and stuff to keep themselves from getting fried, basically. So that's why you don't see any skin or any beards or anything on show. It's all metal beards and mighty armor as well. So yeah.
Does this mean like all the factions are going to be in really heavily armored if they protect themselves from the environment, or is this just in their particular part?
It's just in that particular part. I mean, because they're obviously floating through the skies above the mortal realms, and they're all sort of seething with magical energies and stuff.
Oh, it's right. Okay, I get it. So it's because they're going up into the stratosphere.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is their suits to protect them when they're high up. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, most of the places on the mortal realms, a lot of them are sort of, seeded with magic in huge amounts. But, some places you can pretty much walk around and you'd be fine, basically. But yeah, it's just for these guys as they're sort of up there in the clouds, yeah.
With gigantic demons trying to rip their airships from the sky.
With gigantic demons trying to rip them to pieces, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, is this... Where are you standing on this, Ben? Because I know you're a big dwarf fan. Dwarven fan, we could barely go a show without dwarves somehow sneaking their way in. I mean, are you liking this? Are you enjoying it?
As I say, yeah. I mean, to begin with, I was a little bit put off by them with the whole full-on steampunk look. But I think that now I've sort of got used to the look of them and the aesthetic, and I'm pretty much gonna roll with it. One of the things I absolutely hate painting is flesh. So this sort of gives me an excuse not to do that and throw away my flesh paints and just paint all armor and do something cool with verdigris potentially as well. But yeah, very, very cool indeed. Yeah.
What's funny for me is I'm looking at them going, they look like an ancient version of the Forge Fathers.
Basically.
I was like, oh, it's gone full circle.
Yeah.
It's just the squats have returned.
That's the thing, though. I mean, like, if you really wanted, you could hunt out the old squat rules and use these guys, not a problem. Yeah. They wouldn't really look out of place in a 40k universe. That's my thinking, anyway. I'm
interested in the airship and stuff. Can we go back to the guy who's actually strapped to his own miniature airship?
Oh, yeah. Well, I love these.
Because that is actually really cool.
I have a leader or a unit? What do we have?
The leader guy who's on his own airship.
Leaders,
this is actually really cool looking.
And he's got a chainsword.
Yeah, he's got a chainsword, but he's also got his mustache and everything. He looks a bit...
Oh, that's a fabulous metal mustache. He looks like a rather fine gentleman.
What I'm concerned about, though, is there's an awful lot of gold and brass. Is everybody going to just rock up with gold and brass armies these days?
Well, you don't have to. I mean, if this is what they're doing for the studio stuff, that's fine, because you can paint it whatever you want. You could paint that as black as the darkest night,
Yeah.
Do just some little grey highlights, some star fields and stuff, make it look as if it's camouflage for whenever they're coming down to attack people. That could be really, really fun and really cool looking.
One of the other little bits of speculation that came out about this faction was that it was actually by a community member, Baratem30, and he was saying that in the Shadows Over Hammerhall book and sort of game, there's a elf sky pirate captain, so an elf pirate captain, and we also get these guys now with their airships. Maybe we're going to see more airships that are coming out for the different races, and that could potentially mean we see almost maybe a return of Man of War, but instead of it being on the ocean, it's up in the skies instead. That'd be quite cool. So yeah,
that could be kind of cool.
Battling between the different ships in the air, boarding actions, all those kind of things could be very, very interesting.
Tables.
So yeah,
big sky galleons fighting against each other could be
exactly. It could be very, very cool. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking dystopian wars. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a different design. It's a new take on dwarves.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. The ones that they did, the actual fantasy ground-based dwarves, I didn't really like the look of them.
No?
No, because there was a lot of it where there were some mirror sculpts done, and that really threw me on it.
Oh, for the Fire Slayers, yeah.
Yeah. I looked at it and went, but why do that? You know, because there was no different posing. There was one guy standing, axes held out like this, and you could see it was literally a line. Even the beard was just mirrored. And it
So
looked
he
really
didn't
strange.
have an epic beard like last week then?
No, it was an epic. It was an epic beard, but it was just a mirrored one. It looked very strange just to have such because it was mirrored. It looks really static.
Yeah.
You know, which just really threw me.
So are you digging this?
A little bit. I could have some fun with this. You know me, I love my steampunk.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking this would be right up your alley. This sort of
he
stuff.
does look like a rather fine gentleman, and he's wearing a monocle, which is all to the good. All to the good. You know, and you know, I could have fun with this. I could definitely have fun with this. It looks like it could be fun. This guy actually looks as if he's just carrying a brewery on his back. So, you know, sold.
I'm guessing he's some sort of flamethrower type thing.
Maybe.
Scroll on down. Let's see some of the others again. This is probably my favorite actually here, right
This
there.
dude?
The one with the extended goggles type thing going on, looking through his crystal.
Well, that's some form of navigation device, because that looks like a starfield that you're seeing in there painted inside it. So that's quite cool.
I would have
That's
to see
the etheric navigator, that guy, just so you know. So yeah.
I'd have to see him in the flesh. I mean, I recently bought a box of
The skeletons.
skeletons
Yeah, you went for the undead.
for Warhammer Quest. Not
No.
Warhammer Quest. What am I?
Age
Warhammer
of Sigmar.
Age of Sigmar, right? I literally went into the shop, right? Because I was getting excited about the upcoming boot camp and the Skelly army, so I thought, I'll go and get myself some Skellies to paint. So I was in Belfast. I thought, I'll go to Games Workshop and I'll buy just one box of Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah, you walked out with a bigger box than you thought,
Yeah,
didn't you?
exactly. So I was standing looking at one box, and the guy comes over, and I think, I can resist. And then he uses his f***ing Jedi mind trick on me.
Looking to the eyes, not around the eyes, looking to my eyes, not around the eyes, not above the eyes, not below the eyes, looking to my eyes.
And sells me the whole starter kit. He's like, yeah, because you'll get your Skeleton Warriors, and you'll get your mounted skeletons, and then you get your big beastie for essentially £2. And I went, a big beastie for £2? Here's my 50 quid. And I walked out, and I looked at it and went, why in the hell did I just buy this? I only went in for a box of Skeleton bloody Warriors.
See,
I totally got upsell. Look at this shit that I
There's that little goblin inside your head just going, shiny.
Yeah, and then there was a little goblin at the end going, shite, what have you just paid for? You only wanted the Warriors to just start trying out some schemes and stuff for the upcoming boot
I
camp.
need to get you a t-shirt for moments like that just reads, in my defense, I was left unsupervised.
I was kind of being supervised from the outside the shop because Anna was with me, but she doesn't come into the shop because she doesn't want the guy bouncing over towards her. What are you collecting? What you playing? And she's like, this is all too hot and heavy for me. I'll stand outside the shop. But yeah, I got completely upsold.
It does happen.
And I was like, crap. Look at this big beastie thing covered in skulls that I'm not really sure of. And then I thought, no, it's all right. I'll go home.
You paid £2 for it.
It's all right. I'll go home. I'll be excited about it. And then I went in. I think I'll go online and see how they fit in the fluff. Have the skeletons been just completely wiped out of the Age of Sigmar fluff, or what then?
No, they're still part of it. They're sort of being led by Nagash in the realm of death and stuff. So they are still very much a thing. And he's brought back a whole bunch of the different special characters as well. So there's a lot of stuff to be said for playing a death army at the moment. So.
But it kind of felt sidelined to me because I had to go and look for the War Scrolls. It was like, you're not really in the universe. You're just one of these little things on the side.
Yeah, but that just means that there are deep, dark doings, and eventually the dead shall rise.
They're kind of one of those factions that's sort of half in sort of they're sort of being retrofitted for the new game, and half of it's kind of new at the same time. So they've done a lot for the realm of death. In the past, they've done like the Flesh Eater Court, which is full of ghouls and stuff as well, and then obviously you got your skeletons inside on the one side with Nagash and things. So they are pretty much a big part of things, but maybe in the future they'll get a little bit more. So
maybe I'm not sure. The scale of them, I love the scale of them now as they are. Okay, and I love the scale of the skellies that come in the Rune Wars kit.
Yes.
I'm liking these big sort of miniatures.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, are they big enough for the new Age of Sigmar stuff coming out? Because when I hold them up against some of the other stuff, like, wow, it's really tiny looking.
But bear in mind, a Stormcast Eternal is effectively a space marine in a fantasy world, so they are going to be a lot bigger than most of the things you're seeing. So yeah,
yeah, I suppose. Speaking of Age of Sigmar and boxes that have been bought, there's a new starter box coming out then as well, Ben, isn't there? We've heard about that.
Yeah, so one of the big things that came out of GAMA as well was that they're going to be doing a new starter box. This one's still going to be focused on the Stormcast Eternals and the Khorne Bloodbound, which were part of the same set to begin with.
Yeah.
But their focus this time around is going to be from picking miniatures and sort of other bits of hobby in there at the same time that will kind of get you really into the world very quickly. So it's not entirely sure what sort of the contents are going to be just yet, but I would imagine this is going to be a little bit more of a scaled down project, so it'll help you with sort of the very, very basics of Age of Sigmar and things. Yeah,
cool.
Well, if you're wanting a new jump off point, it's one of the things that the guys always do really, really well within Games Workshop. It's that jump off point is always something that's really key in any game.
Yeah.
And having just one box that you and your mate can walk in with your pocket money and go, we'll have that, and then you get one you're playing with within maybe like 2 hours. So it's a good idea that way.
Why do they feel the need for another starter box though?
They always update it. It's that continuous sales thing.
Has it really been a year or two since the other one came out?
What was the last one?
Yeah. And as I say, that sort of existing box set that did come out was very much a sort of, it had quite a lot to it, and there was a lot of work that was involved to actually get those armies down to the table to actually play the game. I think this one's going to be focused in towards maybe a lesser amount of models and sort of getting you just really basically right into fighting, battles of Age of Sigmar, basically.
Yeah.
For those that are veterans as well, there was some other announcements from GAMA in that there's going to be a new game set within the Age of Sigmar called Warhammer Underworld's Shadespire.
Yeah, this is the bit that's interesting me.
Yeah, so this is going to be a game that is focused towards a new line of models, which is quite interesting in of itself, but there's also going to be a very, very tight focus on there being organized play and sort of a competitive aspect to things as well. Now, this is quite interesting because Games Workshop have never really ventured into this sort of organized play thing before. They did try it a little bit when Age of Sigmar came out with their campaign and stuff, but this is going to be very, very different, I feel. A lot of people have been saying maybe this is going to be their take on maybe Mordheim being brought back into the sort of the fold, as it were, and Age of Sigmar. Whether or not it's the case, I don't quite know, because sort of when you look back at it, Mordheim wasn't exactly the most competitive thing, but maybe they'll take a new sort of narrative approach to stuff as this one comes out.
See, I was thinking that when you said Mordheim, I was like, it doesn't sound like you'd organize a huge tournament around it. What do you mean with new models? Like, we'll feature new models. What do you mean, like new models? What do they mean? A new style of model? Just more models in the same universe?
New units, new races?
Yeah, this is the thing that sort of got people talking, because is this going to be individual characters for the new factions and stuff? Maybe they're going to be doing new stuff that is only for Warhammer Underworlds in the future. A lot of people have been thinking that this might be focused in towards a little bit like what Kill Team was doing with 40k. So in fact, this will be a very small-scale, skirmish-based version of Age of Sigmar. They haven't really done that before. There was Path to Glory, which came out, which was kind of the same thing, but they had it at a much larger scale than it used to be. So if they had this down at sort of like the Kill Team level, where you've maybe got a handful of models, maybe 10 models on the tabletop at one time, that could be a little bit more competitive and interesting. Go with a new rule set that is very, very focused towards that individual combat style at the same time. So we'll have to wait and see. We should be hearing a little bit more about it next month, potentially. So yeah.
And we'll see it at the end of the year then, yeah?
Pretty much, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Sweet. Right.
Can we get back to it?
We've got part 2 of our legendary chat about the legends of the Fabled Realms. We're going to be covering stuff like the dice rolls, the game cards, and the Dragoi. Let's see what they were talking about.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Let's get a gander at these.
Yeah, that's the family shot again. So you can see that they're again from all shapes of life that have contracted the virus, and you can see that the 2 characters that are heavily armored are the Dragoids, so they know. And the curse or the virus started from Daldor, where we've got the ruins of Daldor.
Yep.
So they're in there's not much. There's nothing left really of the people. They're either Dragoi now or dead.
Yeah.
But their armor they're wearing is very much would have been seen as the Daldorian armor at the time. And you can see sometimes they've got like in the guy that's the big guy at the back is a glutton, which
I think I can get a little bit closer on him. So there we go.
Yeah. So he was like a ogre type size creature that the Daldorians had as slaves and creatures that are used for fighting. And so in the center of his chest, he's still got the old Daldorian symbol to show where they've come from. But again, you can see that this person would have looked like a normal ogre. Yeah. You can see how the face has changed, the arms have got longer.
Yeah, you can sort of see that because you see the clothes that he's wearing, that the arms are now reaching out from it as if the thing is no longer big enough for him, which is really cool.
And you can see that the Dragul on the left that you start to your hair starts to be lost.
All right, I thought that was just fashionable. So you're seeing hairs falling out, the physical changes are taking hold.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there are bits on these guys that are not quite done yet?
Yes. So an example is his knee pad. Doesn't have the strapping around it yet.
Yeah.
The belts, if you look, they're not as detailed as they could be.
Not quite in a position where you want them, yeah.
Yeah, and then what this is we wanted to show you where they are.
Yeah.
Because it's all right going, we got the Eightfold Path and some other figures.
Yeah, see, it's nice to see that work in progress. They actually see the evolution of the bad guys of this world. Now, I say bad guys, it's, if everyone's...
Misunderstood.
Yeah. Okay, misunderstood. Let's go with that. Let's have a look at a couple of the other ones. So who do we have here?
So these are two Dragoon henchmen. And we have the one on the left. Currently, this is, like we said, a 75% done. So he's actually got the symbol of the Dragoi on him. But we're like, no, we want the backstory for that guy to be that he was somebody that believed in the Eightfold Path, but his belief in his religion didn't save him. So the symbol on his chest
is going to change
to a cracked Eightfold Path symbol. And the one on the right is the one you saw earlier, where he's a bit fashionable with his half hair.
Then this is one guy I want the story of. So who is this?
This is a Mordenberg merchant. He was traveling between Mordenberg and Daldor, and his wagon, his caravan was ambushed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, they didn't completely finish him off. So he is now left wandering the world as a Dragul. He's turned relatively recently, so his clothes are almost completely intact.
Yeah.
But when you turn, it can be very quick, or it can take a long time.
Right.
But like you can see as well, like how that some others you've seen, like their nails have got longer and stuff like that, whereas his hands are still relatively
still quite
normal.
Human, but you can see the beginnings of it.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I like it because I can imagine this guy, sitting in a tavern after he's been attacked, not feeling great, sitting in front of dinner, and then the hunger starts to kick in, and he eats, and he eats, and he eats, and everybody starts to look at him a little funny.
Yeah. And there is one of the figures, he's got belts across his chest.
I think that's this one, if I'm right.
Yeah.
There we go.
So this guy here,
on the
right, he was attacked. He didn't turn straight away, but then he started feeling under the weather. He starts frothing at the mouth.
Yeah.
So they call in the doctors.
Yeah.
The doctors strap him down because they think something bad's going to happen. It did.
Yeah.
And he broke loose.
I see.
So that's why he's got the bands across his chest. He's got one still around his leg, but he did manage to get out.
But I quite like his pose as well, because like the way that they're skulking, hunting beasts now is in that quite a pose. Like you could imagine almost about to like heard some rustling in the hedge and stuff like that. Is thinking, is that something for me to have? I'm like, is dinner coming? and then like we've got a little dwarf Dragul as well chasing around, running after you. So first of all, you might think it's quite comical until
Dwarves, I will tell you right now, from all of my D&D experience, are natural sprinters. They are natural sprinters. They are incredibly nippy on their feet, especially whenever you either take their beard away or you take their beer away.
Yeah, luckily the curse hasn't removed his beard yet. But they will lose their hair, so you can generally tell how far along they are by the amount of hair they have. And as you can see, his clothes and his armor is a bit tattered, and he's got some feet poking out. He's got some toes poking out of one of his shoes.
All right, let's have a look at some of the characters for this faction. So who do we have here?
We have two of the the character types. You've got their leader on the left.
Yep.
He's armed with a halberd. Like we said, a lot of the characters are armed with secondary weapons. So he has a sword on his belt, but the pre-generated character that we give you doesn't actually have access to the sword. But if you create your own character, you can actually give him a sword.
Yeah.
And then what you can do is in the game you can swap weapons.
Right. Now, is it just me or is he carrying a lunch on his hip?
He is. This is what we said, about 75% done.
Yeah.
As you can see, the head's kind of sinking into his armor a bit.
Yeah.
But he's carrying around a light snack.
Yeah.
Just in case he gets a bit peckish. He's also got a potion they're working on. He's got an open face helmet.
Yeah.
This is because we wanted one to show you that they're the same creatures inside.
Yeah.
The second thing is if normally they don't stop to fight during a battle, and that's one of the reasons why you actually get people turn during the battle. Because if they're actually eating you, it doesn't matter whether you're going to turn or not. They're eating you.
Yeah.
He's, though, decided that maybe if he did get peckish in the battle, good time to have a chow down.
Yeah.
Unlike his friend on the right, who is wearing a Dorian full face helmet. So this is, as Adam said, the old Dorian armor.
Yeah.
So this is a traditional armor for a civilization that no longer exists. There was a cataclysm in Daldor.
Right.
And he's armed with 2 Dorian blades.
I could ask what the cataclysm in Daldor was, but I'm guessing you're wanting to save that for a little later down the line?
It was something so horrific that it seemed like a star come to Earth.
Oh.
So and it causes the change.
Yeah.
There were no Dragoi before,
Right.
and afterwards there are Dragoi.
Right. I'm expecting there may be expeditions to actually research this and find out what the hell happened.
Yeah. In fact, we're going to be bringing out the current range of Daldor buildings is the city itself. One of the things that we're bringing out is Bridge.
Yeah, because so obviously where Daldor was ruined and destroyed, what Bridge is going to be that over the centuries and stuff like that, is people have started recolonizing it because they know that there's treasures in it. So you'll start seeing buildings that look like the ruins of Daldor that have been then had timber structures put around them.
Ooh.
So they'll start recolonizing it, and then
I like it.
the Eightfold Path commandery that we're following the most at the moment when we're writing stuff down in the backstory is the Blackwater Watch, which is the river that goes through at Bridge. So
I'll assume you guys have a full world map that we've not seen yet.
Yeah, Jared's working on it at the moment.
Jared the artist is formerly known for his cartography. He's done work for like Wizards. He's done some Game of Thrones stuff. He's done some amazing stuff. So at the moment but unfortunately, because where we've been doing this game for a long time now ourselves, that we've got little bits here and little bits there and all come together. So he's almost taken 10 years worth of work to try like maps that we've done and stuff like that, and to put them into like a continuity thing. But we're very looking forward to seeing it come together. When it does come together, we're gonna be working with Mel, the terrain tutor, and he's gonna make a 3D version of the map. So when we go to the shows, we'll be able to take an actual map with all
like
the
a sand table
contours.
map?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
We don't know if it will be at Salute.
no, we don't know yet if it'll be at Salute, but it should definitely be at UK Games Expo, and we're going to take it along to Gen Con. So with that as well, we're going to have above it, you'll see the areas that each nation have as well. So you can like look at that and go, again, you'll be like, oh, that's where Mordenberg is, that's where Daldor is. So you'll be able to start putting these and then seeing who has control over them.
We think we like it, but there are 27 nations in this area of Fabled Realms.
Oh wow!
We're not gonna.
We're not doing the rules for all of them necessarily. But there are 27 different power 27 different power blocks. 5 of them are part of the Tudor League, which is what Mordenberg is part of. But yeah, there's a huge number of things. So when you see the map with all the different nations on it, it can be a bit overwhelming.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, so last question for the models.
Yeah.
Where did the inspiration for each of the factions come from?
So it varies. The Dragoi, where we were playing the D&D game, and somebody wanted. I think it might have been Andy. Wanted,
he really likes that. He really likes that like monster faction. So we were like, well, if we do this, that'd be quite cool. And then we're like going, well, how do these monsters come about? That's what they do. And then then like, oh, and then you've got now the militant. Then we like, because before we had like the Mordenberg State Guard, and then from when the monsters came, then after the monsters came, we're like, well, what would they do to keep them? Then you've got the Eightfold Path, so it's a militant order that is got these that belief that, and then their job is to keep the realm of the Tudor League safe, and as well the Mordenbergs, the Eightfold Path follow a religion that most religions in the world follow. They believe that there's 8 separate gods, whereas the Eightfold Path believe that there's one God, and those are the 8 aspects of Mother. So that's why you're following the Eightfold Path. So you're following all the paths lead to Mother.
And for Ben, it was he was DMing it. It was a big reveal. So it starts off with a battle where these guys come and helped us out for no real reason, but they wanted, the only thing they wanted as payment was the bodies of these Dragoi, and then it.
And sometimes a few bit of equipment because they're a bit short on the ground. You can't send a grey cloak in with nothing. That's just unfair.
So it sounds like a very organic, natural evolution into this world, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that we liked when we were playing it. It's something that we feel that is now quite nice about them. So, for instance, Mordenberg started off as the city itself was to stop a pirate raider that set up base on the river. So the city he set up was called Mordevig. Then the Tudenberg, which is one of the states, was hired by a nearby state to put them down. And Tudenbergs are really heavily into being mercenaries. So they were like, yeah, that's really cool. What we want is no money. You just have to agree to become part of our nation. So this other one, they were like, Langerholm this is. They went, oh, that seems like a good idea. And they then took Mordevig, and they built a castle called Amberg, and it became Mord Amberg.
So it's split across 2 rivers. I mean, it's not 2 rivers. There's a river going between the city, and they've got 2 settlements either side. So one is the Mordevig, and one is the Amberg.
This actually sounds really cool. I would love to actually, get into the back notes of what you guys have been working on. But I'm sure.
Well, one day we'd love it as well if we can. We can have like we'd love the Visions of Fabled Realms to come out, which will be an art book that will have like autonomy in it. It will have landscapes in it. It will have our backstories in it and stuff like that.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
And you do have some of it in the rulebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good of you to mention the rulebook, because that's the next question: is what format are you guys going to be looking to bring the rulebook out in?
Well, it's definitely going to be hard copies. So each starter set that is going to be released is going to have an A5 rulebook that you can use for in-game. You'll be able to buy a hardback version of the rulebook, which is then going to have a lot of pages of the backstory in it and stuff like that. So the A5 one that's not going to be in it. It's just it's your quick gaming guide.
Get yourself going.
Yeah. And then the history and stuff like that's going to be in the bigger book. It's hardback, like with nice finishes, nice paper. And then we're also going to do like a small PDF download, like to pick up the game and just give it a go.
Okay.
So and that will be like that will be pretty much how we're showing people how to play it on the shows. Will be pretty much what it's involved. So you'll get you'll have a few cards. You'll be able to print out the ability cards that you use. We use custom dice, but obviously you can't get hold of the custom dice. So we'll give you ways of on a D6 what a 6 equals and
so you'll do a little conversion.
So they'll be able to. So you just give it a quick go with some printed off cards and see if you like the way that the mechanics work from it. Because
again, you're leading me beautifully. I feel like I don't even have to interview you guys. I just pull the pin and let them go. Mechanics wise. What are the basic mechanics of the game? So what sort of dice system are you using? I hear you mentioning cards. Is that stat cards?
Yes,
Is it ability cards?
Cad will be better to talk about this because he's the one that's written the majority of the game. But you've got 3 key points really that we have in the game. One is our active and reactive players, which always keeps both players feeling involved.
Okay, so this is our turn sequence?
Yes.
Yeah.
The second one is ability cards and how they work in the game. And then the third one is the custom dice and how they get used in the game, which means that there's no looking up charts of what dice do what. You roll it, and then with the symbols, you'll get an idea of what you've done instantly.
So with the actions and reactions going on that one, we're calling it the momentum mechanic, because the idea is that you can act as the active player. I can say, I'm going to charge one of your units. Now, you can react by using another unit to intercept me. But you don't have to do that. You can do pretty much every action in the game. So you could move on another area because it's the idea that it's that 6 seconds on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So there are some limits. You can only take a hostile action against the active unit.
Right.
And that's kind of because if something scary is coming towards you, you don't pay attention to the guys that are doing nothing over there. You want to kill the scary thing.
All right, so basically, say you have a unit on this side of the table moving up and advancing. I could have a unit on the opposite side of the table repositioning to actually come across to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this.
Yeah.
And
I
it
like
also,
this a lot.
so it also means that you could even do as a reaction is that someone says that I'm going to charge your unit, and you know that they're not quite in range. So your reaction could be, well, I'm actually going to pull back. And then what we do then is that we then decide whether they're a conflicting action.
So in that case, it would be.
Yeah, because
you don't want to be charged.
Yeah. And you do what we're calling a situation awareness test. You roll the dice, compare your results, and whoever wins gets to dictate the order of play. So if I was the reactive player that won, I'd say, well, I'm falling back first. You've got to charge me. You didn't quite reach me, so you never got to win. Whereas if you're the guy that's charging, you would go, well, my dictation of play is that I'm going to charge you, and we're going to now fight a round of combat.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is one of the things. Before coming in, the guys actually ran me through a game. If you were watching the vlog, you'll have seen it. And one of the things I discovered is that, Cad, you had a unit that was about to charge mine.
Yeah.
And I had a unit that was within range to actually cut across your line of charge and actually get in front of you first. To actually mean that you weren't charging a weaker unit. You were actually getting into combat with a fully functional unit, which was really good.
And not so good for my leader.
No. Because dice happen. That's all we can say. Dice happen. But so that's the turn sequence. So you've got active and reactive player, but you're both playing at the same time, both calling out actions at the same time and deciding what you want to do.
And then the trick is, as the active player, it's to try and make the reactive player spend their momentum, which means that they go into their next active turn with a little less.
Got it.
And the reactive player is to try and be as reactive and change the flow of the active player's turn without overexpending your momentum.
Your resources.
Otherwise, you're going to slow your momentum down.
Yeah.
So it's all about keeping up the momentum of the combat.
This sounds like a great game for keeping both players really engaged with the game, because there are some games you play where it's just like, your turn, I'm going to stand back, fold my arms for 5-10 minutes, whatever, off you go, do what you want to me. This feels
it also keeps the game quite quick as well, because instead of you having that thing of like watching your opponent do what they do and then they watch you do what I do, is that we've now been playing games, and like a starter set game, we're getting done between 45 minutes to an hour. So it's not, when you get used to the whole system, it's a nice quick game.
Yeah. We see. I also like the idea that if I see, right, let's say there's a Dragoi terror charging down an alleyway at me, I'm not going to stand there and watch it come. I'm going to bug out. It's just like, hi, no, bye.
But you can also do that as well because of the way you can react. You can also use that to feign stuff. So you could have a nice, yummy unit for the terror there, and your terror's like, the other player's like going, all right, I'm going to go get him because I'm going to do really well. Pull them back. Yeah. You've got a wizard here that's got some great spell that's an ability card that you can play. Yeah. For as the terror comes out around the corner, bam, he's just beamed of light him.
All right, well, speaking of ability cards, I have a few here, and if we can go through some of those, right? Just to talk about how the ability cards work within the game, because I know there's 2 or 3 different types, yeah?
Yeah, there's ones that are like specific kind of cards, so they're magic spells, things like that. Yeah. And then we get a few different ones as well.
All right, well, we've picked out a few here, so let's have a look. So first up, what is this one? This is Duty's End.
Yeah,
so what type of card is this?
This is a card used by the Eightfold Path. So with the ability cards, you have a keyword. This one's keyword is in the middle. It's Eightfold Path. Right. So if you're an Eightfold Path character, you can play the specific ability, the S. Right. If you're not an Eightfold Path character, that doesn't stop you putting a card in your deck. Right. You can only play the common ability, which is C. Okay. So this one, Duty's End, when your model is injured, and that you do get injured, and then you find out whether you're dead or not. Yeah. You can make it more likely that you'll die. Right. But do a one last huzzah kind of thing. Ah, I see. So in the picture, he's quite clearly not going to be having a good day after that. Yeah. But at the same time, that Dragoi. Yeah.
Let's finish the job here.
But that's as well what the cards can do, is that how we think the relative flavour of that faction is, the cards can bring it in. So the Eightfold Path's duty is to defend the lands from monsters and creatures.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm gonna die, but I'm taking you down with me.
Yeah, I like
so,
that.
So you can see that they, like, with the symbols, which was later when we go to talk about the dice, is that he's going to get a lot of red and blue dice, and for future references, when you see red, it's either it's good for you, and it's bad for you. It's bad for your opponent.
I actually have some of the dice here, so if we want to quickly show them off, just because this is the first time we've encountered them. So you've got 3 types of dice, yeah?
Yes.
And those 3 types of dice are these. So what we have is the white dice, which have 3 blank sides, 2 cross swords, and a skull.
Yes. So you've got a blank is obviously nothing.
Yeah.
A cross sword counts as a success. And then the skull is a critical.
Okay.
The white dice are all on D6s. These are, we're using, just imagine that's like, if I picked up a sword, I'd be someone using white dice. I've got a very high chance of missing. I've got a very small chance that I've chopped your arm off.
Yeah.
And I could quite good get you a little bit of a poke in the tummy.
All right, so basically you know that you put the sharp end into the other fella.
Yeah.
All right. Next up we have the blue dice. So if you want to explain these to me.
So the blue dice are D8s. They have 2 blank sides. They have 4 success sides, which are the cross swords. And they've got 2 skulls, which are criticals. So that's somebody that's been trained. So if I came across somebody from the Mordenberg State Guard, they do tend to have blue dice.
Okay.
Because they're not the Eightfold Path. They're recruited from any walk of life. They've got white dice.
They've got 15-year-olds.
They've got 15-year-olds and fat guys.
Yeah. Okay.
The Mordenberg State Guard, they're trained.
All right. So they're a professional militia.
They're a professional army.
Right.
So they'll have blue dice in their combat as their henchmen as a standard.
Okay. So they're a little bit better at fighting. And then lastly, we have these red dice.
So that is for the very trained, the very well gifted person. So
the last thing I'm seeing is 2 new symbols here.
Yes. So these are, we're calling them super criticals. They are the most powerful symbol you can get because they can only cancel out each other as well as the things that are lower than them. So the lowest one is the swords again. Then you've got the critical. Then you've got the super critical. So
and they only have 2 blanks on them as well. But they're a D10.
Yeah.
So you've got that higher probability of getting the hits through. And when you are fighting, as the attacker, if you roll a super critical, it's going to go through unless they've got a red dice in defense. So you can be very concerned if you come across somebody with a greatsword, a Nomian greatsword, sorry, which is like almost a magical weapon.
Right.
You can be concerned because of that. And if they go through, the mechanic we've got for wounds is that if you roll any number of successes,
so that's the cross sword.
That's the cross sword. You just cause 1 wound.
Okay.
So you can have a bucket load of white dice that's a load of guys that are inexperienced, but
they're only
going to cause 1 wound if they get the successes.
If you get a critical, that causes every critical causes a wound.
Okay.
If you get a super critical, if you get no other dice through, because of the symbol on it being a cross sword and a skull, it will always cause 2 wounds if it's the only one.
Okay.
If there are additional ones, 2 cross swords, still 1 wound.
Yeah. I like this idea. It's a really clever dice mechanic that you're using to actually determine successes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, let's move on to another card, shall we? So this is a different type of one. So it's got a different symbol in the top corner here.
Yes. So the one before had a seal, and that is when you build your deck for in-game, you take it from stamina points of your characters, and you take it from magicka points of your characters.
Right.
So the red ones are for stamina, and the purple ones with the book are for magicka.
Okay.
So this is a magicka card. Again, you can see that its key word is light. So if you took the School of Light, could you use it? And then again, this is where we're saying, like, if that tear around the corner and you've got beam of light, you can zap them with a beam of light. So
you can just be sitting there going, bye-bye.
Yeah. And which this guy has done in the picture.
It's a really nice piece of artwork, seeing someone just get blown away.
Yeah. And what it does is the ability cards, they are also your spells. So if you think of D&D, you have your spell book.
Oh yeah,
and
you have
like
cheat sheet with all your spells on it and stuff.
Yeah, well, you also only have access to so many spells a day. So it's almost the same for the people in the Fabled Realms.
Right.
But the way you represent this is their ability card deck.
Right.
So I can put in 4 beams of light into my deck. That means that in a game, I could cast it 4 times.
Right.
But if I've put 4 beams of light in, I draw them over the game.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to get one of them.
So this is you using up your magical abilities.
Yeah,
Yes.
and if your whole faction as well has a certain set of magical points, if you put in 4 beams of light, you could have taken a lot of your points away from it. So that guy, your warband knows beam of light very well, but they don't know many other spells. So sometimes it's good that if you know that that's a really cool spell, I'm going to put it in. And that's again why you got to put some limits on it. So that's why it can only be 4 copies. But then you detract from the other ones that might be quite good, and like because the magic for light has some quite other cool ones which let you cancel out other people's cards as they play them. So there's other things that you can do.
So even during playing like an ability card, I can be quite reactive with it and actually stop people.
There's one that there's a fight school called Florixon. Like that has light. That's a Magicka school. The Florixon fight school, you get buffs for fighting more people.
I see.
Tauhofen, you can force somebody to fight you one-on-one. So if you've played the cards in the right order, they've played a card that means I get as many blue dice extra as people I'm fighting against. And the Tauhofen guy goes, and you're only fighting me.
Yeah, because that's one thing that's quite cool. Is that
Sacrificial hero.
Yeah. Because when you're in combat and you enter the ability card play, which is when you start putting out these cards for your fight schools, is that when you play them, you play them and then your opponent will play the card on top, then you'll stack them, and then you'll play them backwards down. So you could be holding back a card that you think's quite cool because it's one of the fight schools lets you cancel out the card that's below it. So someone could be like play like the Florixon one that lets them gain as many attacks as they are in base contact with units. But they're against someone that's got the Vazukov fight school, which is the one that lets you cancel out a card, and they've played that on top of that one. So where you thought that you were going to do really well,
and muller people.
There's a guy that's distracted you.
Nice. All right, we have another card here. It's a red ability card, but it's a 0 card this time.
Yeah. The reason why the 0 cards exist is that is the cost to put them in your deck based on your stamina or your magicka. Now, in the game we were playing earlier, we knew that over the game we'd have 18 cards. So once I've paid out for all my card costs, I might have slots left. Well, in which case, I've got a hammer or a great hammer. So I'm going to take kill and blow, because that means that if I hit you, it's got a special rule that a critical, instead of doing 1 wound, this one does 3 wounds because it increases its high impact. So he's smashing, well, like the poor guy in the picture had happened to him.
Crushing someone's skull.
Yeah.
Well, what was left of it.
So, and this one is it's just only got a specific ability. So if you don't have a hammer or a great hammer,
you
can't use it.
Got it. And then our last one here is a 0 spell card. So what is this?
So again, this is a magic field. So when you're targeted by an attack, you test your magicka. You'll see if it happens with a difficulty level of 2, which means that where those symbols are, you had the cross swords was class as 1, the critical class is 2, and then the super critical, which is the skull and crossbone class is 3. So as you roll your dice, and then you've got to equal to or beat it, and if you do, you get to add a red dice to your model's defense. So you're making them more defensive. But again, because everyone can use magic in the Fabled Realms, is that the key word there is just spell. So everyone can use spell in the Fabled Realms. So that's why it's also a common ability.
Got it.
It's only got a C on it.
So an orc can use it. Like, he's not going to be as gifted at magic as a gnome.
Yeah, but he can still,
give it a go.
Yeah. And an example is we played a game with an orc who was about to be charged. He went, "My sword's really powerful!" And because he played the enchanted weapon card, his sword caught fire, and he went on to beat some people up.
Okay, now we're starting to talk characters. So we're going to have character stat cards, obviously, because you're playing deck cards, and stat cards just go so well with that. So let's have a look at a quick breakdown of the stat card here. So I'm guessing that each symbol has its different meaning, and each of the symbols beneath it is actually the dice you're going to use.
So earlier when we were saying about someone was doing a conflicting action, you had to do a situation awareness test to see who goes first. That is the eye.
Okay.
And then the eye shows that you've got 3 white boxes. That correlates to 3 white dice.
Okay.
So where you've got blue diamonds, that's a blue dice. This character doesn't have any red on him, but if there was a red, you'd use a red dice, because this is a henchman. So you're going to get preset henchman groups. You might notice that they've got a maximum group size, but that's only whilst you're creating your warband. You can have your men in any combination on the field as you want. That just shows that when they level up during the legacy system that we have in the books, that you'll level up. You'll have 5 dudes going around leveling up as one. So that's what that group size is for.
And which takes us to the level, which is at the top. Henchmen go from level 0 to level 5.
Right.
So in we've got a legacy campaign system.
Yeah.
In that, your henchmen can level up after the battle.
You see, I love the idea of being able to actually advance my warband.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, when we level up, what happens?
So to level up after a game is, say, for example...
Bit different for henchmen.
Yeah, but if I wanted this character to increase his combat skill, which is the 2 cross swords, I would... each dice has point values to it, which correlates to how powerful they were earlier. So the white dice is 1 point, the blue dice is 2 point, the red is 3. You would roll your 3 white dice, and if you've got 3 or more, you can increase 1 dice level. So you could make a white to a blue to a red, or you can have a maximum of 3 dice per characteristic. So for example, if you're doing his magicka, you could add 1 more white dice in.
Right, so let me see if I have this correct inside my head.
Yeah.
So say I have a stat with 2 white dice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would need to get 2 successes.
Yes.
If I get 2 successes, my options then become I can either add in a 3rd white dice.
Yes.
Or upgrade one of the 2 that's already there.
Yes.
So all of a sudden his magicka will go to a white-blue.
Yes.
Got it.
And then if you wanted to increase it again, you'd have to roll 3. Because he's got a blue for 2 and a white for 1.
Right.
So,
and if I was wanting to do my health?
Health is a bit different.
Okay.
But what you do is you take you use your stamina instead.
Okay.
Which is the teardrop.
The teardrop is the sweat.
Okay.
And so it means that this human here, if he was a character, he'd need to only get a 1 to increase his hit points. An elf, on the other hand, so characters normally have about 3 hit points to start off with. An elf to increase, he's only got a stamina of 2 white dice. So the chances of rolling a 3, which would have to be a critical and a success at the least, would be pretty hard. So he'd actually want to work on his stamina first before he works on his hit points. A dwarf, on the other hand, really high stamina, starts off with 3 hit points. He goes, after the first battle, he goes, I'm going to get a bit tougher. Hit points, roll.
But,
I've done it.
But as well, one thing that we've done is that some other games, when they're done like a campaign type thing, you've normally got to paper record what level they are at to help them go up for experience. But what we've done instead is that you get during the game, for every wound that your character cause or successful spell they cause, they get to add 1 white dice when they try and go up a level. So if that character, like the dice roll you were talking about earlier, did 2 wounds during the game, he'd be able to roll an additional 2 white dice to try and increase his magicka.
Right, and can I only do 1 level per battle, I assume?
Yes.
But you always do it at the end of the battle, every single time. So if you haven't done anything,
if you haven't caused any wounds or anything, you still get to have a chance of going up.
And
very cool.
Henchman's even simpler. At the end of every battle, every henchman group rolls a white dice. And if
it goes across those 5 guys that survived.
And they roll 1 white dice, and if they don't get a blank, they level up.
I like.
So they've got they
they die quickly.
They die quickly. They go up quickly. But because there's no tracking though of your experience, if you fail it, you failed it. All that experience that you gained during that game is lost.
I see.
To represent that it's going to be hard for you to increase harder level things, like naturally hard. Like a guy that's been studying medicine and law, for example, in our world, the longer he studies, there's not much more he can learn. So whereas someone new to it will
it's very easy to learn something new because there's a lot to learn. I like this idea. I really like this idea. Okay, so last couple of images you guys have for me here is these. Now, what are these things? Because I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, this is a mock-up of... So the starter sets, when they come out, they're going to have 8 miniatures. They come with 52 cards. That'll be like 33 ability cards, preset hero cards, henchman cards, blank cards so you can make your own characters. And they also come with this warband tracker. On this, you've got... During the game, you're going to have a place to keep your deck, a place to put your discard pile, and a place to put your hand. You've got then where we said that your characters can have points to help them level up. You've got at the bottom, you'll have areas to put in so you can track what points they're getting during the game.
So how many extra white dice I get to roll?
Yes.
Cool.
You've then got the warband special rules. So for example, for the Eightfold Path, and one of their rules is by Mother's Will, which mean that Eightfold Path gain a red dice to all the flag is morale checks. So they gain a red dice for all morale checks. So it's a
basically
way
they're
to
really
help,
hard to get rid of on the table.
Yeah, it's a way just to help you memorize your rules, and then you're going to have where the white space is. There'll be a spinner, so you'll be able to keep track of your momentum pool, and also a way of a nice friendly reminder of how you track your momentum. So I mean, how you generate your momentum.
Yes. Yes.
So it's to keep you.
Yeah, to basically make it as easy. Because the last thing, now, this is something I talk about in games a lot, is speed bumps. This is basically to stop you having those speed bumps and let you just to continue playing, having fun, and telling the story. Yeah. So for the Dragoi, what's their special here?
So whenever an enemy model is killed in combat, they get to roll a white dice. If a critical is rolled, the model dies, normally. But on any other symbol, they get to replace the model with a new Dragul. So they're starting to turn during the battle.
Yeah.
But where you've got Gluttons and Terrors, they've got a little note there that if they do it, they only turn on a blank because they're a little bit more feral and a little bit more hungrier, so they could have just ripped off your arm instead, and you're not coming back from that, no matter how much the virus is.
Well, I have to say, guys, this sounds like it's going to be a really fun project. It's going to be really interesting to get a look into the world of Fabled Realms, to actually see what stories you guys were actually creating yourselves whenever you created the terrain that you've been working on. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for showing it off.
Cheers. That's right, we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's been...
I will definitely have to get you guys back on again to talk about more stuff for this, because I'm curious, and hopefully everybody out there is curious as well. Guys, we'll move on here. We'll see you in a bit.
Cheers.
Thanks.
I think the thing I'm loving most about this is the free flow form that combat seems to be taking with it, where you can actually have moments of, I want to do this, but I'm going to try and stop you, and actually have those opposing moments where it's just like it actually would happen on the tabletop, on the actual battlefield as well, which is perfect.
It's interesting how it's developing because we've known about it for quite a long time.
Yeah,
I've had a game of it months ago.
It's actually
You've
a lot
had a
different.
game of it months ago.
I had a game of it
and then when they came here this week, it was quite different.
It's a lot different. It's a lot more streamlined than what they first came to us with, and the game, it really plays well. Once you have the... Right, what I always say is whenever you put symbology into a game, it's like learning a very simplified new language, right?
Yeah.
So whenever they first came to us with the game, their stats and stuff were actually written as letters. Now they've changed it to symbology. Once you actually learn what that symbol means, it's very, very easy for it to actually stick in your head and actually remember what it means. So if I show you an eye on a stat card, Lloyd, what do you think it's going to mean?
Intelligence?
It's perception, really.
Yeah, okay.
All right, cross swords on a stat
Oh,
card.
you mean an actual
An
eye?
eye.
I thought
An
you
eye.
meant the letter I.
No, just an eye.
Right.
All right, if I show you two cross swords, what are you thinking?
Combat?
Yeah. If I'm showing you a crossbow.
Shooting?
Right. If I'm showing you a heart.
A heart?
A heart.
That's my health?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that makes it so much easier to read.
Than letters and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, like the streamlining that the guys are doing is great. I like the idea of the world because, all right, you hear Dragoi, you're probably thinking vampires, am I right? You know, so you're thinking Stragoi kind of thing.
Yeah, you would think that.
It's actually not. So just because I know you probably haven't had time to fully watch the series yet, it's actually a curse or a viral sort of thing that takes over somebody.
You think I haven't been in the pub listening to them talk about this for hours on end?
Okay.
They're so excited about it, Justin.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Yeah.
You need to tape their mouth to stop them talking about it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hand grenade. Pull a pin and let them go. But
I know all about. Let's not dwell on it longer.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about the heavy hitters because there's been some updates to their Kickstarter you're excited about and you want to tell us about.
Yeah, the first
there will
thing
be
is,
more on 4Ground's game coming up. Don't you worry about that.
The thing that has me most excited for heavy hitters is the fact that they've actually done an add-on pack which is going to allow you to upgrade the buildings. Now, when we first looked at them, you were seeing normal cardboard buildings, resin top and bottom.
Yeah.
They've now done the Urban Wasteland expansion pack, so you're getting some additional bits to put on the top, but most importantly for me, damaged plastic buildings.
Ooh.
That is going to be such an auto-include for anybody that's backing on this Kickstarter. You're going to want that just so it's got that nice longevity to it, right? Now on to the actual stretch goals, because they have been busting through stretch goal after stretch goal after stretch goal. So what we're seeing here is, once I start scrolling down, past all the additional add-ons, so first things that they put in were pretty sensible, right? So you had nice little bits, extra cards, new pilots, more extra cards, stuff like that. Then we came to the interesting ones, which really have me excited. So first up, solo mode play.
Yeah.
I can sit down on my own, play this game, and actually learn how to play it without having to worry about getting my mates into it. You then have
just Ben, what do you think of this idea of the solo mode play?
Solo mode's one of those things a lot of games have had to try and include now because, as Justin was saying, it's a really fantastic way for you to learn to play the game. And in this sort of more busy world where you potentially don't get to sit down very often to play board games with people, especially something on this scale, I think it's just fun that you'll actually be able to play this game by yourself, enjoy things, and really get to immerse yourself in stuff by yourself. Yeah.
Sweet.
The other one that I really love is the fact that they've put a 2v2 mode in here. And I would probably actually house rule this one myself because, right, how hard is it to get 4 people to sit down and play a game? Depending.
It can be quite hard. Yeah.
Right. But with the 2v2 mode, you could actually play with all 4 mechs on the tabletop. I control 2, you control 2.
Yeah.
And run it as like 2 separate teams.
Tag team style.
Yeah, tag team style.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that you can do that. Then they started adding in some mercenary units. So you know the way the game goes, you can launch support units. They're starting to add in mercenary ones. Now, I'm not sure what the mechanics are to get them down on the table are, but it's going to add a new flavour and a new dynamic to the game. Adding in some terrain tiles as well is always a great idea, especially in nuclear reactors, because we don't love broken down nuclear reactors. Cool. And lastly, they're currently waiting to unlock their 4th mercenary miniature. So that's something that has me really excited.
Have they squeezed any more money out of you, Justin?
Have
you resisted so far?
Look, see, here's the thing. I've went in at the base pledge for the box, right? Yeah. Now, it's the one thing that I say Kickstarters are smart to do is they keep it simple, right? I'm looking at $99 and I have the game and the stretch goals that I want. If you want to go beyond that, you can because you've got the Palettes Edition and the Painter's Edition, right? Good thing with the Painter's Edition is you get the painted mechs and the unpainted ones.
What do you mean you get both?
Yeah, so you'll get what's in the core set and a set of unpainted additional ones. If I've read it right. I'm 99% sure.
If he's read it wrong, let us know in the comments below. Yeah. Have fun with that.
But on top of that, the way they've done their add-ons is clever as well, because that $45 expansion for the Wasteland expansion, that's a no-brainer for me. Has to be an auto-include to it. You know, there's another one for the Hapsy dice cam where you're getting some colored dice that you can roll. I don't really think you need those. They're nice, but they're not an essential. You know? So if you want them, you like them, go for them. But for me, it's that Wasteland expansion pack. It's just the auto-include.
Okay, I am going to move us on. Ben, have you anything else to say on the matter?
No, other than that's a pretty awesome looking game. Went down pretty well on the sort of open gaming after our boot camp as well. So yeah,
I'm just going to remind you that we do have a prize where you can win these guys, not the painted versions, the unbuilt versions, along with the comic book
and sticker pack
and the stickers. So get your comments in below on Beasts of War, Facebook, and the YouTube channel. And join us tomorrow on the XLBS show for some exciting talk about the new... I'm excited about this. The new A Song of Ice and Fire, which is a mouthful for me to get. I always say Fire and Ice.
Where it says A Song of Fire and Ice. Yeah. This Song of Ice and Fire, it's going to cause a lot of missteps for the pronunciation of it.
It's weird. We're going to be talking about that and excited about that. We have the 4Ground guys in again, showing off some exclusive buildings.
Yes.
Which you can win.
Yup.
You can win a diner, which is cool, and you can win some other. I'll not spill it all. You can win an awesome new diner and some new other bits
up for grabs.
Yeah, and we've loads more. So if you haven't come across the backstage before, come on in, try it out. There's a free 7-day trial. You can join us again for another chit chat about all things tabletop heavy tomorrow. See you then.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.